Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. It's tournament day today here at Guilecast, courtesy of Rowie, who has resurrected the King and Prince of Map Tourney. Essentially, a bi-weekly tournament runs kind of week to week. They go through all the different maps, and it's not usually a big tournament. A few people chip in here and there, but they compete to get shiny avatars. And hold on to that for, I don't know, 6 months until you work it around again if the tournament directors are up for it. So that's where we're at today, and we're kicking off with Open Palms, the quintessential, it always felt like the quintessential Sopcon map. It was the one you opened up first in the lobby when you went to multiplayer. At least I think it's still like that. That's how long it's been. Although I'm going to have to get back into it because the poll finished on the Facebook page, and I don't know whether it was 80 or 90% of you said that it was definitely worthwhile that I start this raffle idea where I play once a month one of the Patreon subs who's up for it. So it's just truly terrifying. Actually, I had people in the comments saying, oh, you know, you'd have to go easy, and I am so bad at this game. You guys don't know because I've casted myself once a long time ago, and that was a good game for me. That was me outperforming my usual performance. I'm not good at this game, guys, so I'm gonna have to learn how to play before I embarrass myself. But hey, it should be entertaining for everybody else at least, and that is after all the point. Although I need your help, guys. Sorry, I know I'm waffling at the beginning of this, but I need your help. Any technical guys out there who want to give us a hand with devising some kind of system so that it's easy. Obviously, I need people who sign up. Not everyone who's a Patreon subscriber is going to want to be entered into the raffle, right? Some people don't even play this game. They just literally like to watch the cast. So I need a system so that people can sign up, but it kind of checks them against Patreon. I don't know, something like that. But if you have any ideas, do yell at me in the comments or send me a message or something, because that's going to be my main sticking point now, working out how to set something up that's hassle-free, because I'm assuming I'm going to get a couple of hundred people maybe up for this. That could be crazy admin. But anyway, let's get on with today's game, or today's games. Round 1 to 3 we're going to be looking at today. We'll do semi-final and final in the next cast. That's what I'm planning. And the first game between a couple of 1600s is going to be between Inspector Cot and Resistance. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the players are ready. So let's go on over to Open Palms and see how these guys are going to get on. Cha-cha-ching. Where is it? Where are you? I'm waiting. Ka-ching! Alright, we know what we're dealing with here. It's the classic Open Palms. No teams to look at. We'll take a look at our players up here in Burgundy Red going Cybran, bless him. It's Inspector Cot. He's opened first land. And his opponent down here in Elephantine Grey going Seraphim. It's Resistance, and he's opening first land as well. We'll treat this just like we would a ladder match, so you guys can explore their glorious openings and steal them for yourselves and pass them off and pretend they're yours. These guys very evenly matched on the global ranking, 1600 apiece, and we've got evil space aliens versus evil space socialists, so it's a nice harmonious match. Both of these guys shoving that first land factory down next to a core mass and throwing down a couple of T1 P-gens either side, although Inspector Cot's going for a third T1 P-gen. Incidentally, newbies out there might be thinking, why would you do that? Mass goes around the mechs. Well, it does obviously assist you with your early power troubles when you upgrade that to T2, so that's going to give you an adjacency bonus on your upgrade and cause you less problems, in theory. Everything's in theory to me, because I don't play, although that's going to change soon enough. Alright, straight off the bat over here, we've got a hunter or two, or three even, strolling out of that land factory from Inspector Cot. Unit number 4, offensive-wise, was a mole. He built a couple of engineers before that. They've gone straight to the hydro and started producing that. And we've got an air factory and then a whole bunch of land after that. A little bit more conservative with the build queue over here for Resistance. He also shoved out those 2 NGs, went for the hydro, but that's going to should probably get completed first, since Resistance pulled his comm and added all that build capacity onto it. Inspector Cot's done the same, but he's a little bit behind, so perhaps a more efficient opening there for Resistance. But, of course, look at all of this stuff heading his way from Inspector Cod. I think we can go back to single screen now. 2 labs around the top edge of the central plateau. Another one following the mole right through the center. We have a Selen over here for Resistance. That's going to give him a little bit of intel. If we take a look at his screen, though, it's you see, this is what scares me. This is going to be my world. I'm used to operating in observer mode, and this is terrifying me. I've got real anxiety about this. You guys who don't play the game, who like to watch, will know what I'm talking about. This is terrifying to me. Anything could be. There could be a GC right here. I mean, not at 2 minutes in, but you know what I mean. It's scary business. And look at that attempt on the reclaim. Did he get it off in time? Yes, he did. Engineer survives, at least for a moment or two longer. 20 hit points remain. Quick off the bat. Resistance there, saving that Engie. Probably going to die straight away. There we go. Didn't last too long. Little bit of micro on behalf of Inspector Cott. Loses another lab. Will he get the Tham, though? Pickup looks like he's going to. Down that goes. Can he grab the Selen as well? Just 9 hit points left on that lab. Meanwhile, engage over here from a Mantis. That's going to pick off the Tham. Could double back and grab the Engineer, although he's going to be running into that Tham, reinforcing there. Could push on down, potentially grab an Engineer, although that's being escorted. I like the caginess of Resistance. He's not expanding territorial-wise the way Inspector Cod is, but he is covering his bases. He's covering his NGs very nicely, not giving Inspector Cod a free ride. We're now into the interceptor stage as they tangle above Resistance's base. 2v1, generally going to go in one direction, and it is. 2 interceptors remain over the top for Inspector Cott. Lone Mantis steaming in for Inspector Cott on towards Resistance side of the field, pursued by a couple of Thams. Resistance moving out with his comm now. Where's Inspector Cott's comm? And he's moving out to the side. Pretty standard. You basically come out of the nook and turn left on open palms, as is usual. Every now and again you get a conflict up here, where the chat down here wants to hang a right turn and get all up in each other's faces. But this is very typical. Send your spam out that way, your comm out that way, and try to hold off and see what happens. Yet more tangling in the center in the air. Going better for Inspector Cott. I think he's still alive with 2 hit points. A mosquito sneeze away from death. Finally succumbs to pressure and plummets from the sky. Lurking around the nook with a couple of assault bots. Inspector Cott looking for engineers. Predictably there's one down here, but as we said before, that's still guarded. Now getting a steady stream of T1 spam heading in towards the central plateau for Resistance. T1 bomber out looking for targets of opportunity from Inspector Cott. What he was going for there. He did nick that Tham, but didn't manage to get the kill. This could be juicy, though. Right on top of the T1 P-Gens. Snags 2 engineers and damages a Tham in the process. Doesn't get another bombing run out of it, but he'll be happy with that. A couple of units of build capacity down. A little bit of harassment, always nice. Meanwhile, more grey stuff heading in towards Inspector Cott's base now, coming in through the central plateau. Likely to get any penetration there. Sensitive structures safe for the time being. Inspector Cott's dropped off just a little bit away from those mexes, going for a safer position back here. I'm wondering if he's queuing up for a distance build up the cliff as well to help snag these top corner mass points. T1 bomber overhead again of Resistance base with 2 kills to boot. Gonna snag another one here. Resistance late on the micro. Attention elsewhere. 3 kills now for that bomber. Resistance losing build capacity. Not ideal at this stage in the game. Another T1 bomber over here. So making a play for air in a pretty big way. He's running just the one air factory that I can see. Seems to have devoted a lot more of his economy to pumping out interceptors and bombers in the early game. 7 minutes in. Mantis moving around that central plateau. Engineer gets killed off just as it's about to complete a T1 PD and secure that corner. Potential vulnerabilities here. Resistance's comm is out over in the bottom left. Main base almost vulnerable to a blob of that size. He wants to hang a left and head in towards the Nook. Looks like that's what he's doing. It might just be reactionary though to avoid this that's coming in towards him. Does manage to snag that second Mex. Current eco reading at 41 per tick in favor of Resistance. And that changes immediately up to 45. Might have been power issues on behalf of Inspector Cott there. And now we're getting some penetration, some Cybran units heading into the back of this Seraphim base, grabbing an engineer. We have power plants under threat here. Engineers going down, build queues being cancelled. That's quite a large amount of Mantis to get in trouble there. Meanwhile, what's going on up here around Inspector Cott's comm? He's surrounded by some Grey Thams, the odd Zui, but it's nothing to worry him as yet. Still, those Cybran forces in the back of Resistance's base probably want to prioritize their fire a little bit more. Could grab a couple of Mexes. Thams coming in to alleviate the pressure now, but getting picked off one by one. Gonna lose our first core mass. Still only T1 though, so no more of a loss than anywhere else on the field and easier to replenish. Down goes the second one. 3 Mantis remaining. Another Tham dies and presumably another one. Bit of micro to avoid that incoming artillery fire. Wouldn't go amiss. 2 unit run by have taken some damage. Inspector Cott's going to let that go. Going to lose that Mex. And Cott wanting to lock down this area, trying to get a PD online, but hasn't factored in the Zui issue. Mind you, with firing accuracy like that, did at least manage to snag an NG kill. Gotta say, the way this is going, favoring Cott's aggression. He's now over into Resistance's half of the map on both sides of the plateau. Resistance filing his forces back up to that middle section. Decision to make. Does he try and hold the center? Does he try and drive Cott back in the east? Looks like Cott is withdrawing. He did get a land factory online. Well, he's withdrawn a bit, but reinforcements have provided him a safe spot to stop and think while his Mantis on the plateau clear up those T1 Mexes. That's going to drop Resistance behind Cott once again in generated eco 45 to 47 and falling. There's two Thams we saw earlier on the run by did pick up that Mex but got destroyed down here, presumably by that PD. Resistance meanwhile on the march in the west. Com heading more centrally though, it would seem, towards the middle, rather than supporting this attack wide out on the flank. Inspector Cott still backing up, although feels like he's almost at parity with T1 numbers and has the comm for assistance. Where are we at on tech? So we've got a 33% upgrade done on land tech. T2 there for Resistance. Going anywhere for air, still at T1 for the time being. tell if Cott has made that leap just yet. Not wanting to miss anything crucial. We'll have another look in just a second. Inspector Cott's con under a little bit of pressure there before Resistance drops back. Resistance piling in to this left flank now with his comm and his spam. Hydro taken out. Gonna finish off that land factory. Should be easily doable, especially with the artillery in tow. There it goes. Inspector Cott has been driven back a lot, and Resistance is up eco-wise 63 to 51. This has been an impressive turnaround here from Resistance. Inspector Cott driven all the way back to this top corner now and finds himself surrounded, out of reinforcements and being targeted by that spam. They stop for a moment to blap a couple of reinforcements on the way in. Inspector Cott down into the yellow, below 7,000 hit points now and falling. He needs to get a couple of overcharges in there. Doesn't have any power reserves to speak of, which is why he's not firing that huge cannon and clearing some of this up. Gets a ranking vet. He'll breathe a little easier after that. Resistance drops back with what remains of his forces. Looked like he got a little bit hairy there for a second. You can tell I was getting a little excited. 13 minutes. Felt like Resistance had an opportunity perhaps to end it there, but didn't materialize. Still in play up here at the top right. Grabbing 3 more mexes though. Engineers trying to defend. Get a T1 PD online. That should hold the position. Engineers won't make it out, but he'll be happy to have secured at least that radius around the PD and those T1 P-gens for the time being. Engineers, meanwhile, in the west, moving forward for Resistance. They're throwing down some point defense as well, trying to lock off that section. And indeed, we did have a transition to T2 there for Inspector Cott. Rhino's already making it out to the front line. Engineers are going to get eviscerated long before that first PD completes. Resistance dropping back in the face of what could be overwhelming pressure now. He's got a small band kind of trickling in from his factories down here. He's at T2, he's producing Ilshivas, but seems to be a ways away from getting any of them up to the front line. And Resistance now, having looked strong a couple of minutes ago, facing down a large group of spams, some of which is T2, or the odd T2 unit in there, 2 of them, and gets himself surrounded. How on earth have you allowed that to happen? Where is your overcharge, Resistance? He hasn't got power storage. It either got blown up or he didn't build it. Now he's surrounded. 3,000 hit points and falling, and that is a horrible way to lose the game when you're up for 85 to 51 on generated eco. That was unnecessary. If he'd carried on dropping back, he might have lost his position down here. He might have lost some eco, but he would have had time to get it back. He was producing Ilshivas, and that is it's disappointing for Resistance. I thought he had that in the bag, I have to say, but alas, it wasn't to be. Well done, Inspector Cott. Takes that first game in round 1. I'm not doing all of the games. I'm not sure quite how many there were. I'm just doing highlights, guys. So I'm picking one game, or rather, Rowie picked one game for me, helpfully, to save me time, because I love that guy, to bring to you guys in kind of a highlight reel. So we're on to game 2 now, and this is going to be SB Noob on fire versus Bulldozer Noob. Let's check it out. Cha-ching. Oh my god, we're pausing every time now. Cha-ching. There we go. So, don't need the pause. Not sure why I did that. We can close that at the top. Let's take a look up here over in the Nook. We've got Bulldozer Noob, the northern Nook, sorry. And he's going UEF, how very sensible, opening first land in combat green. And his opponent down here, SB Noob on F1. I think we're just going to call him SB. And he's going Cyber and Bless him in mellow yellow, opening first land. And you can see the meta very consistent with these guys. It's almost identical opening from the last. Seems to definitely be the most efficient way. Let's go to split screen to examine their openings and check they're all free of contagion. Always important to have contagion-free openings. Family show as ever. So yeah, a couple of P-gens around that first core mass. Sometimes they select different ones. They've both gone for pretty much the actually it's not that. I suppose that one would be the equivalent of that one if you're looking at it in reverse, wouldn't it? Indeed it is. That's where you all agree with me in unison. Why not? So, engineers out. And that's interesting. So first engineer out there for SB goes on reclaim. First units were a couple of labs and a couple of moles, so he is going on the attack here. First NG as well coming out for Bully Dozer going on reclaim. No, sorry, it's not first. The first couple of NGs came out here and went for the hydro. And he's going for 2 air, 2 land around that hydro. And then the third NG was going on reclaim duty. Might potentially lose that though, as we've got labs bearing down on the position. But look how finely that's balanced. He times it perfectly. That's how many games they've run of this. They know that there's no way an NG is going to get caught out by a lab with that build order, because the striker is going to get there to defend in good time. SB already throwing out the GGs. I think that's a little bit premature. We didn't get a chance to introduce them in terms of ranking, so Bully Dozer with a slight advantage, or at least slightly favourite, shall we say, if we were going purely off global ranking. He's sitting at 1800 versus 1700 there for SB. But really, what's 100 global ranking points in what's effectively a ladder match anyway? It is really very inconsequential, and terrified about the blips on the radar produced by that mole. The lab and mole reposition. Let's just take a look at overall efficiency of the openings now, both on 13 mass per tick, so that GG purely humorous, I'm sure, from SB. No great loss losing a couple of labs and a couple of moles early game. Both starts seems to be pretty efficient. Maybe we're slightly behind the bell curve here for SB. So he's got an air factory online and 1 land factory around the hydro. Compare that to 2 operational land factories already, working on a 3rd over here. Of course, early bomber now would do him some favors. He's got the scouting for that. Looks like that's exactly what he's going for. So potentially could cause a little bit of an upset here. No operational air factory on Bully Dozer's side of the map. Quick bomber inserted into the area. Could grab a couple of kills. We're working on the air factory now in Bully Dozer's base. But that bomber is already en route. Targets of opportunity are there to be had. So look at this aggression out from SB, heading straight up to that top corner, looking to deny this base that's already queued up there. And we also have Bully Dozer out here, so that's what I'm saying, hanging a right out from the bottom and a right out from the top. They've switched roles. First bombing run, 2 engineers down. The engineers that had built that air factory, which is working on an interceptor, but he's going to lose 2 more NGs, cancels that huge build queue, and any issue he had with his opening surely lost after this bombing run. Performing very nicely indeed. Can he micro his way out of trouble and save any more engineers, or more engineers? No, he can't. Down that goes. That's what, 5 kills, 5 engineers dead. That's pretty devastating inside 5 minutes, and another bombing run should pick up another one. Indeed it does. 6 engineers down there for Bully Dozer. Ouch. And of course a big cancelled land factory build queue to boot. Always painful. 4 kills and 2 kills for the 2 strikers heading in around the edge of the bottom nook there. Probably picked up engineers working on expanding bases over on that corner. Mantis filing through, picking up a couple of kills as they go, but no real advantage either way on that side of things. And having seen the aggression laid down by SB Noob and his forward proxy base up in territory which you would normally ascribe happily to top player inside the first 5 to 10 minutes, Bulldozer has decided to do the same on the opposite side of the map. He is going full Bulldozer and taking down some mexes. No queues set up yet on base expansion. Very lonesome figure down here by himself. And Bingo on power as well, so won't be throwing down any defensive PDs anytime soon. SB has 4 mexes operational and nearly has a land factory to assist him as well, so this could be a nasty little nest for Bulldozer to eradicate. SB Noob burrowed in like little tick he is. Nice little snag there. Down goes the radar. One Mantis getting things done over here. He'll finally get hit by a small striker platoon, but definitely paying for himself on that excursion. Bulldozer has been given some freedom here to get a land factory online, and finally we get the redirect, and that might be it. SB News says, sorry bro. Bulldozer, no energy storage and no energy to put in it, even if he had one. Now surrounded on all sides. And it just goes to show you, just because your opponent does something doesn't mean you have to match it. He brings in a few reinforcements here. He's blapping away furiously, but he's down below 50% HP here. 4,000 into the 3,000s. 3 strikers valiantly trying to defend their con, but he's into the red now, below 2,000 hit points. Reinforcements turn up. Will they be in time? It's going to be in close. He needs a rank in vet, and he needs it now. 800, 600, 500. Jeez Louise. 500 HP, and he's still alive. What on earth? That looked like a control K. Oh my god, that's a rage K. That is a rage control K from SB. Really? That's interesting. That's oh god, what was his name from StarCraft who always used to do that? That really moody American kid. I don't know. Answer in the comments section below from when years ago when I used to watch some StarCraft professionals online. Can't remember his name for the life of me, but it's like, that was that really necessary? I can't tell what he was on now in terms of eco, but yeah, it seems, I guess because he dropped back and there was a big group of units in there, but he was just like, nope, I've had enough. So Bulldozer looking like he was about to go down, but somehow makes it out with 500 odd hit points. That just goes to show you, SB in future, always good not to count your chickens before they've hatched, I believe is the old wives' expression. That's not even a thing, it's a wives' tale or expression, but certainly true in this case. Well done, Bulldozer. He advances to the next round as we boot up our highlight from Game 3. That's going to be between Zlo and Vexed 97. Let's check it out. Cha-ching. Oh my god, it's happening every single time here. But anyway, there we go. So Vexed up here in the top nook. He's going UEF, how very sensible. For some reason it's paused. Don't know what happened there. And he's opening first land. It's just literally force of habit. I always load up the replays and hit pause. So it's something about muscle memory. I can't stop myself from doing it. And down here at the bottom, Zlo in lurid green. And he is going Seraphim opening first land. So UEF versus Seraphim for Game 3. Let's examine their holes. I mean, their openings. That's just wrong on so many levels. There we go. And nook to nook. And once again, we get the same thing. We get the same thing out from Vexed, but Zlo says in a thick Russian accent, which I really shouldn't attempt. I don't need to follow you. I do my own thing. He's much efficient in Russia. I just offended millions of people right there, but Zlo will forgive me because he's a top chap. So would you look at that, breaking with the meta we've seen displayed in the last couple of games. Zlo builds 4 core mass after the land factory and then pulls his comm, and he is going to get his comm to do a bit of reclaiming first. NG's out to build the hydro, which is pretty consistent. 1 air, 1 land around that. Engineer heading out for Vexed. That's that looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool opening from Zlo. Pretty cool cucumber so far. He's just edging it in total mass accrued 1.2k to 1k, and that's with Vexed ahead on reclaim 110 to 22. So not a terrible. I'd like to compare it to the others and see how that worked on a time-for-time basis, but you wouldn't expect Zlo to be sloppy on his opening for Open Palms. As we said at the beginning, it is the quintessential map, and Zlo has been around forever, from the days when we all called him Zlord. Not sure what the thinking was behind the name change, why he went for Zlo instead of Zlord. Always quite liked Zlord. Assumed it was something to do with Zed and Lord. See what I did there? Hydro completes for Vexed. Starts with the land factory, and after that it'll be on to air. I think we can go back to single screen now. I need to keep it there, and now we're on to air, and that is flying up with the assistance of the comm there from Zlo. Not long before that completes, will we see another early T1 bomber, I wonder? Vexed not in a position to defend if he gets that out quickly. Cheeky little light artillery though. Lobo wades up front, going after the hydro, gets 2 shells in there. Engineer is repairing, but then gets shooed away by the comm, and now has a Tham chasing it as well. Zlo avoiding catastrophe there. That really would be a problem, getting power locked this early on. That would set you way behind. No, I'm supposed to be impartial, but secretly rooting for Zlo in this one. We've mentioned it many times before. He is the proverbial Sean Bean of Guilecast. He's died more than anybody else, but he's still got that 2000 ranking. Just goes to show he's winning a lot of games that for some reason aren't interesting enough to cast. I don't know why. It's not personal. I'm not doing it for any cultural reasons. I'm not showing his losses because he's Russian or anything like that. No, he is he seems to be unlucky. I don't know what it is. Perhaps he can turn that around today. So he's taken a right-hand turn, as has Vexed, for today's game. Strongholds with the comms, going to be situated here and here. Spam presumably on opposing sides. And the striker, typically going to go UEF's way. Engineer rolls into view unadvisedly. Very ill-advisedly, but somehow survives. 22 hit points left there. Selen cloaks and continues to provide intel. Vexed moving out. Continuing out west with his commander. So we didn't see any early bomber out from Zlo. Both players went for interceptors, and we did have one scout plane out for Zlo early doors. Just get the feeling the amount of spam coming out of Zlo's heading north. he's going to be sitting on slightly more territory. As long as he backs it up with some build capacity and anchor some of this down. Strikers moving in to sandwich this little probing attack from Zlo. He's committed now, no point in turning around. And he's committed and outnumbered. There's chance some kind of split as those strikers, that huge pile of strikers, chase those last two Thams into the backfield. Vex standing nearby with his comm, doesn't seem to want to get it involved as yet. Looks like he's going to lose at least one Mex as more reinforcements arrive for Zlo. And Zlo well ahead of his opponent eco-wise. Is that because of a power lock? No, it's not. 59 to 29. That is, excuse me, thoroughly unsustainable if that continues. Vex needs to break out of this somehow. He is giving up a couple of hundred global ranking points, but he's still at 1800. We would expect him to perform well on such a tried and tested map. Slow getting factories online over here. One striker manages to penetrate the front lines and is being pursued. Slow coming across the middle plateau with a platoon of Thams and one Selen. The Selen stops and I presume cloaks. See the little cross on him. Yep, so that will be there. Providing intel, wonderful ability that for the Selen. Very underappreciated for Seraphim. Vex actually running out of units over here. Could potentially lose a Mex. No, he's not going to try and pick that off. Instead, he's going to push further into the back. And another cheeky run by on the other side. It's a good 7 tanks there or so. Make consolidation in the backfield there for Vex all the more challenging. 8.5 minutes gone. And no killing blows as yet, but Zlo definitely in a commanding position in the driving seat so far. Looking to make a play for control once again of the central plateau. Might lose a Mex in the corner. That's going to happen, I think. Snags a mass point right at the back as well. 3 strikers down here, massively outnumbered by the Thams that they were sent to intercept. Vex managing to drive back some of the T1 Seraphim spam up in the top right. And this looked like, I mean, I could have it wrong, might have missed it in the last game. The first plays we've had so far for any corner Mexes up on the corner plateaus. Could be talking out of my great British backside. Apologies if that's the case. Having just regained control of that plateau, he might have to yield it once again. Oh, this is intel like. It's pretty comprehensive. He'll see the units piling in up here. T2 upgrade on the way for Zlo. 77% done and climbing, but he's routed to the spot with incoming hostiles. Just get that completed and get down some PDs. He'll be laughing and Vex will have to drop back. It completes, goes straight for a T2 PD. A lot of units anywhere. Anyway, And he is getting major breakthrough over in the west. This is not looking good for Vexed. He's over here. His com's still healthy, but if this all redirects on top of him, that could be bad news. And he's got a couple of bombers coming his way as well, with a very comprehensive fighter screen that's leading the way. That will entangle with Vex defending interceptors. Vex gets a good engage. Bombers come in too early and get shot down. Didn't even get the bombs off. Vex quick to respond, and what looked like it could have been a disaster brewing over in the west is averted. Meanwhile, disaster is not averted on the other side of the map, as Slow literally runs over that top corner position of Vex. Mass pumps going pop, and those Thams turning their attention towards the main base. Look at all those units coming in around the back of the Nook. That would have been a better utilized, perhaps sending straight into the base. He did send a small contingent in that way towards the core mass and back, but that's not gonna make it, I don't think. One tank might, there we go, but lucky to do much more than kill an engineer. Does get the NG before dying. But look at how Vex has been cornered now and confined to about 10% of the map. Just getting squeezed out here. His position becoming more and more constricted. 75 to 21. I'm calling it for Zlo, bar a disconnect. I don't think Roe would have sent me one of those. You never know, though. Some of the things I get said. Actually had a game sent to me the other day, a 4v4 where 3 of the players on one of the same team all disconnected. It's like, how would that make a good game to cast, guys? Come on. Hello. What is that? Artillery? No. Attack missiles? There we go. Attack missiles and artillery. It was artillery. It looked like it was moving too slow for artillery. Too slow for attack missile. Looked like an artillery shell. Something sounding very strange about that. Artillery shell not moving fast enough, but anyway. Vex now dropping back off the plateau towards his base, trying to deal with the spam over here. Doesn't want to get his comm involved, though, surprisingly. Wants to keep it on the move and avoid any incoming artillery fire, but he's down to 17 mass protect. It's all surely academic at this point, and there's the GG and a control K out from Vexed. So Zlo picks up the win and advances to the next round, which will be the semi-final, which I'm going to bring to you along with the final in a upcoming cast. So stay tuned for that, guys. Hope you appreciate and enjoy the game. As always, more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, if you feel so inclined, do support me on Patreon. And thank you to some very generous donations I've had, not just through Patreon, but also direct to me through PayPal and whatnot. Very much appreciated, guys. You know who you are. I won't embarrass you by naming you, but just to let you know, I really appreciate it. All your support helps support me and the channel, and by extension the community. So thank you for each and every one of your donations, and any ones that arrive in the future. Until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile signing out.